core competency framework was approved by the PSI in 2023. This is a key change for the Schools of Pharmacy and APEL, as we are required to implement the framework into our programs. The purpose of this short presentation is to explain the process, the proposed solution for implementing the revised core competency framework for pharmacists. So, quick reminder of the current process. For the past number of years, students and trainers were asked to use the original core competency framework for pharmacists or a subset for the fourth year students. Ratings took place at the level of individual behaviours, and this meant that students and trainers were asked to individually consider the behaviours and assign a rating based on their perceptions of frequency, using the scale shown here. The new PSI core competency framework has to be incorporated into the undergraduate curricula, so we conduct an extensive mapping exercise to compare the two documents. At the domain and competency levels, the frameworks are broadly similar. They retain the hierarchical domains and competencies and behaviour structure. There are some differences and some impact more than others. There are now 5 domains instead of 6. This doesn't impact us too much. There are new competency statements, but most competencies in the previous core competency framework were carried forward and reworded, but they're generally fairly similar. One of the biggest changes was the move to indicative behaviours, which are written in the first person. As outlined in the PSI's core competency framework document, it is intended that the behaviours are used as examples rather than as an exhaustive list, and they may or may not apply in specific practice placement settings. Therefore, we can't require students and trainers to use these, and we will need to move towards assessing at the competency level. It's outside our scope to suggest modifying the structure or the wording, so we need to acknowledge these challenges and work with it. The new CCF will be introduced into the curriculum by the fourth year students in September 2024 and will roll forward these students into the fifth year in the academic year 2025-26. Another change that is needed more from an education perspective is the way that students are assessed. While the approach shown has been used for many years, we know from international and local research that this no longer represents best practice. The rating scale represents an outdated way of assessing student performance, and due to its complexity and the inclusion of level, rating, definition, and percentage elements, we found that not everybody was interpreting it the same way. Most importantly, we know when students are struggling, it's not easy for trainers to capture this using the existing scale, as it's based on the frequency of demonstrated behaviour, and this can vary. Other professions have overcome this by moving towards rating scales that are based on the level of support or intervention that trainers need to provide. This is considered more reflective of how competence is experienced in the workplace. As students develop competence, they require less hands-on guidance and support. For fourth year students, the top of the scale will be requires minimal supervision, and for fifth year students, it will be ready for independent practice. You can see from the definitions provided what is expected at each of the levels. So instead of asking students and trainers to try and estimate the percentage of time something is done, which can be very hard to do, it asks them to think about what level of supervision is needed. This is considered easier to think about, particularly for those less commonly experienced competencies. So thank you so much for listening to this short video. I will now guide you to the APEL website, where you will be able to access the trainer training on the APEL VLE. You will also be able to access the standards for APEL experiential learning placements, the trainer handbook, the induction and training plan, and the competency assessment. There are also a number of webinars available for you to review and watch, giving you support as a trainer. Thank you again for your time taken to watch this video.